Picture this. It's been 3 days since it hit the fan, and your family can't stop crying. Hunger is sweeping through town like the plague. Your kids are starving, and you're all inside the main bedroom hiding with no light, no internet, and no heat. Every now and then you're startled by gunshots and screaming, but you're doing your best not to show them how terrified you are. You're just about to open one of your last cans of tuna when you hear a strong pounding on the door and someone shouting, "Hey neighbor, are you in there? It's me, Bill. Do you have any food? Somebody help me. My kid hasn't eaten in 2 days and my wife is sick. I'm desperate." Everyone freezes and is looking at you. You've known Bill for 35 years, went to high school together, and were his best man when he married Sally, and now his family needs urgent help. What do? Part of you wants to rush downstairs, open the door, and get him inside to share your food, water, and medicine with his family. But something tells you that's a bad idea. You know you've only got a few days worth of food, and splitting it with another family means you'll all be starving by tomorrow night. As your wife looks at you with tears in her eyes, you whisper, "There's nothing we can do. We're just gonna have to keep quiet until he leaves." "But Dad, we need to help them," one of your kids replies. "We can't, son. If we help them, it'll be the end of us." You look him in the eyes, trying not to burst into tears. You're doing all you can to keep your cool, but on the inside, you're a mess. "Why didn't I build a stockpile?" you're saying to yourself. Suddenly, you're struck dumb. You realize that even though you have food to last you about a week, your water will be gone by tomorrow. Now you're really panicking. You realize if things don't go back to normal anytime soon, you'll be forced to join your neighbor in finding fresh water and food. Darn it, you don't even have a life straw to purify whatever water you can find, if you find it. Hi. My name is Dan Sullivan, and I'm here to warn you. This could be the devastating disaster scenario that awaits you, a food crisis like no other, with dozens of millions of people begging for a loaf of bread, and you having to reject lifelong friends asking for help, looking your kid in the eye, telling him to eat less, lying awake at night, counting the days until you're forced to put your life at risk to go outside, looking for something to feed them. Don't worry though, because I'm also going to reveal to you my amazingly simple plan to stockpile everything you need for the coming crisis, and it's going to cost you a lot less than you think. But first, let me ask you this. Have you ever been hungry? Really hungry? It starts off with the feeling of an empty stomach, accompanied by growling and churning. As the hours pass, you start to feel a tightness inside and can't stop thinking about food. All of a sudden, the symptoms go away. You don't feel hungry anymore, but you know that's not a good sign. Your body simply realizes it won't get any food and starts to burn fat instead. You feel lightheaded, exhausted, and get stomach cramps. Pretty soon, your body starts cannibalizing its own muscle to feed the brain, and your levels of magnesium and phosphorus become dangerously low. You feel weaker and weaker. Your heart starts beating slower, your muscles atrophy, and pretty soon, you're unable to fully control your arms and legs. Horrible, right? Here's the thing. No matter which disaster strikes, whether it's an EMP, martial law, or an economic collapse, you need food in order to survive, and plenty of it. Looking back in history at what happened after some of the biggest events humanity had to face, they all lasted years before things went back to some sort of normal. Let's not forget that 7 million Americans died of hunger in the 1930s during the Great Depression. So let's see what your options are real quick. You could start a garden, but you need the knowledge, seeds, and way to protect it from hungry thugs and neighbors. Besides, you need food right there and then. You can't wait 3 months until the plants decide to grow. Hunting is also not an option because with thousands of people chasing wildlife into extinction, the odds of you bringing back something aren't particularly high. Most people are poor shots when it comes to moving targets anyway. So where does that leave you and your family? Eating dogs and cats? Foraging for dandelions and clovers? Some extreme survivalists have no problem with that. But I don't think this is what you want to feed your spouse, your kids, or yourself. You can't turn to the government. How can FEMA react to a nationwide catastrophe when it can't even handle small-scale disasters? Remember Katrina? Remember what happened to all of the food inside the Louisiana Superdome, where 30,000 people were sheltered? I'll tell you what happened. It was all kept on backup generators until those stopped working as well. That's when it started to rot and smell. Trust me, the last thing you want for you and your family is to end up in a FEMA camp, having a sleepover with National Guard soldiers, eating MREs, and watching your back 24/7 so you don't get robbed, beaten, or raped. When food is lacking, society breaks loose, and the coming war might not be fought for gold or any other riches, but for basic human resources, food, clean water, and medicine. In times like these, people will be capable of anything for a loaf of bread, and we've seen it during the biggest bug out in recent history, when hundreds of thousands of Syrian refugees, which were neither Syrian nor refugees, left their women and children behind to force their way kicking and screaming into Germany for the sole purpose of getting free food, free money, and free benefits. Just look at what they were capable of when they didn't get what they wanted in the small town of Friedland. Imagine something similar inside your own town. This isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And that's because they're getting plenty of help from the liberals and left-wingers who refuse to think logically. The Germans, flooded with violent migrants, are panicking and buying all the pepper spray they can get. Soon, they might do the same with food. We're literally watching our world go downhill with our own eyes, and we can't do anything to stop it. There's only one person you can trust in times like these, and that's yourself. You are responsible for your own family. You are the one who's supposed to keep them safe and well fed. And anyone telling you any different is BSing you. This is what the rest of the presentation is all about. To give you the solution to the food crisis you might have to face. To act now and make sure stories like the one in the beginning of this video will never come true. To give you the confidence to survive anything, no matter how long it lasts. To see your kids safe and well fed. The gratitude in their eyes will make your heart melt. While other parents won't have anything to eat, your family will not only survive, but thrive, and even be able to give some to your lifelong neighbors and friends. So what's the recipe for getting lucky in the coming catastrophe? You need a stockpile. Food, clean water, medicine, clothes, self-defense gear, tools to fix your home or work your garden, comfort foods to keep your spirits up, and extra supplies to barter with. You can't build one overnight though, because you need a plan. And if you're not careful, you'll end up throwing money away on low-quality supplies. Let me show you how to do this by first revealing the worst mistakes you can make when stockpiling food for the long term. But first, let me tell you a little bit about me and why I chose to go against conventional wisdom. Like I said before, my name is Dan F. Sullivan, and I'm a prepper and an author. You probably know me from my website, survivalsullivan.com, or from one of the 60 other websites I've been featured on, such as Personal Liberty, Activist Post, Before It's News, Dollar Collapse, and Off the Grid News, just to name a tiny few. I'm not here to brag. I just need you to understand that what I'm about to tell you comes from my own experience and knowledge, as well as from thousands of hours of research and talking to people. And that's why my content is well above what you can find on most blogs or inside overpriced Amazon ebooks. Most of the questions I get are from concerned patriots like yourself, asking about the best ways to prepare. Many of them have children and grandchildren, and they're doing it to offer them a future. Some of them have arthritis, no place to bug out, or are even disabled or on a budget and can't afford making costly food mistakes. I tell everyone the same thing. Bug in. Start a stockpile and don't leave your home unless you really have to, because in most cases, hunkering down is the best thing you can do. You see, bugging out into the wild is popular because big media likes it, because it's more exciting, because it brings them ratings and money, when in fact, leaving their home will probably kill most preppers. There's a lot of confusion and mistakes some people make, so I want to start with those. And the biggest one is to venture outside and talk to people. Offer them food even when you don't have that much yourself. How to fix this? Stay inside and resist the temptation to answer the door, even if it's your lifelong neighbor and friend, because it's the only way to maximize how long your food will last, and thus your survival chances. It's nice to be a good Samaritan, but post-collapse, it could kill you. These leftists, for example, found out the hard way just how violent hungry people are. When they came to bring food to African immigrants near the woods of Calais, France, when they tried to leave, those gentlemen jumped into the van, stole everything they could, and destroyed the rear doors as their way of saying thank you. Some people are making fun of and pointing fingers at preppers, saying, well, if something happens, we'll just come to your house. No, you may not come to my house when the SHTF. You should tell them. If they truly want to protect their families, they need to set up their own stockpile, because that's what every smart, rational human being needs to do. As Mother Teresa once said, if you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one. You cannot take care of everyone. You can't stockpile for everyone. But you can make sure your family is well taken care of post-collapse, and that's something to be really proud of. As for everyone else, they either listen to you now and prepare, or tell them to get lost. The second biggest mistake is buying overpriced survival food, falling for false advertising, misleading packaging, and ending up with food that's super high on salt and sometimes even GMO. I wouldn't even recommend these foods to liberals. They're that bad. Even they don't deserve increased blood pressure, diabetes, or their kidneys shut down. The other thing that makes me sick to my stomach is the number of calories in some of these foods, which is extremely low. 800 calories per person per day? Really? That's a scam right there. There's no way you can meet your daily needs with this kind of garbage that makes even junk food look healthy. Let me assure you of one thing. The marketers behind some of these products have nothing to do with prepping. They don't have bug-out bags, and their only goal is to make money off of honest people like yourself. It doesn't take more than a Google search to reveal the scam reports and expose them. You just cannot afford getting getting sick post-collapse, where doctors will be hard to find, and even if you're lucky enough to get to them, they might not have the meds and medical gear to do it. If you think you can build a one-year stockpile, not just for you, but for your entire family with overpriced prepackaged food, let me do the math for you. A meal ready to eat is $14 and has 1,200 calories. A 28-ounce can of ground beef will cost you 40% less, around $10, and give you 40% more calories. 12 pounds of pinto beans, which also have roughly 1,200 calories, will cost you only $8, or 42% less per calorie. Now, if you were to build a one-year stockpile from pre-packed survival food and MREs, you'd end up paying up to 3 times more that amount than if you did it my way. And that's not even the worst part. There's a reason MREs are labeled not for human consumption, military personnel only. The high salt content will get you constipated for days, not something to be feeding your kids 3 times a day. The third biggest mistake people make is to wait until the last minute to stockpile food. They prefer to wait until the last minute and only then make a run for the supermarket. You've probably seen folks fighting for food the moment they hear the news about heavy snow and them having to stay inside for a couple of days. By the time you get there, there's nothing left but empty shelves and a few cashiers waiting to get home to their own families. Now, if people can step on each other because of bad weather or because of Black Friday discounts, imagine the panic, looting, and destruction in a national or even global SHTF situation. If you're lucky, you might get some food for your family, but even a basket full of goodies won't last you more than a week, while a crisis could last for months on end. The bottom line is, when something bad happens, food, water, and meds are going to be worth more than gold. If you stockpile on that gold today, you're guaranteed to live like a king post-collapse. There's only one way of doing this, and that's stockpiling real food. If you want to do something right, you have to do it yourself to make sure there are no surprises when you open up those Mylar bags. All you need is a guide, someone who can break down the entire process of stockpiling for you in easy-to-follow A to Z instructions that make everything easy. This is the only course of its kind. One that's focused on healthy, organic food that you can get at any supermarket or grocery store and package with your own 2 hands for the long term, allowing you to not only save thousands, but have the peace of mind that no matter how bad things will get, you'll always keep your family full of energy. That's it. No more unhealthy survival food for you and your family. No more supplies that last a lot less than you think, leaving your family to starve to death. No more worries on how you'll be able to feed your family post-collapse. This plan is the mother of all survival plans that I've refined for the past year until I made it perfect. It's made of tiny steps you can follow to build the perfect stockpile of healthy, delicious, and nutritious food, plus water, meds, and other emergency supplies. All you need to start is 20 minutes a day and $20 per week to build the biggest, largest stockpile you've ever seen. The trick to minimizing your effort and expenses is to avoid spending money foolishly, but follow a plan. It may seem like every piece of junk could be useful post-collapse, but thinking like this will expose your plan to dangerous holes, because the more random stuff you hoard, the more likely you are to forget something essential. Here's how to do it. First, you need a 72-hour emergency stockpile. If you don't have one, I urge you to make it a top priority. You never know when you'll have to stay inside your home because of a grid-down situation, just like the people of Brussels, Belgium had to do when authorities declared a state of emergency and brought in tanks to patrol the streets after the terror attacks of November 2015 in Paris. As The Guardian reports, shopping malls, supermarkets, and even restaurants and cafes were all closed for days. Can you imagine being ordered to stay inside until further notice? Forced to survive only on what you have in your fridge? These things are happening today, and we need to prepare ourselves. Not to worry though, because the stockpiling plan I have for you is about to get better. The second layer will help you build a 3-week supply in a matter of weeks. Then we'll move on to a 3-month stockpile before you know it. And last but not least, I'll show you how to build a 1-year stockpile in record time with minimum cash and using every available cubic inch of space. Having a supply to keep an entire family well fed for at least a year isn't dead easy, but it isn't all that hard either. In a way, stockpiling is like a martial art. You make the same easy moves over and over again until they become second nature. The best part is, many of the foods I recommend are something you already eat and enjoy today. This is important because unlike pre-packed survival foods and MREs, you don't have to change your lifestyle or eating habits. Not now, not post-collapse, not ever. Food and water aren't the only things you should stockpile though. You're also going to need cooking utensils to cook and eat your food, comfort foods to make the time pass quicker and more enjoyably, seeds to start a survival garden, and have a fresh, ongoing supply of food once you finish your stockpile, medicine and basic medical gear for when you're sick, the weapons to keep your family protected, and tools to fix your house. Do you really need all of these? Yes. In what follows, I will teach you how to build a veritable Noah's Ark full of a variety of tasty, nutritious foods. I'll show you how to get a virtually unlimited shelf life from most of your foods and water using secret food preservation techniques that millions of smart preppers around the country are already using. Variety is the key when it comes to any survival stockpile. The best part is, I'll show you how to do all of this in absolute secrecy, so your neighbors never suspect what you're up to laugh at you, or even worse, to come to you post-collapse begging. While they're eating out every day and spending money on the latest smartphone and flat-screen TV, you'll be smarter than that. You'll do your family and patriotic duty to become food independent and shielded from FEMA camps, starvation, and almost certain death. One thing is clear though. The more you study, the less money you'll waste on useless preps. You see, my vision goes beyond storing beans in Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers. But that doesn't mean it's hard. Tell me how many people consider reconditioning and then storing the clothes they're about to throw away. Few realize that things like floss, reading glasses, needles, and coffee filters are going to be hard to find post-collapse and impossible to replicate using self-sufficient means. These are just a few of the items that need to be part of your stockpile. Okay, I bet right now you're saying, okay, Dan, you got me. I know why I need to stockpile. I know what the biggest mistakes are. Thank you for that. But how do I actually build one? How do I know which foods to get and how to store them? I'm glad you asked, because I have the solution right here. I decided to tackle full-on the stockpiling issue and gather all the precious knowledge into a single place. The internet is full of contradicting information on food storage. Most of it is either wrong, incomplete, or at best, rehashed from other low-quality sources. Not mine, though. After a year of bleeding through my eyeballs, I give you my latest creation, the amazing Stockpiling Challenge. It's a one-of-a-kind program that challenges you to create a robust one-year supply of emergency food, water, guns, ammo, tools, and gear in as little as a few months, for pennies on the dollar. All of this without feeling it in your family budget. Here's exactly what you're going to learn. A complete system for building a food stockpile of delicious survival food and crystal clear water for your spouse, your kids, and your pets, no matter how long the emergency lasts. Plus, how to sidestep the 1,000,001 mistakes that could compromise it. How to properly store everything, whether you live in the unforgiving Mojave Desert or even in the bone-chilling cold of Alaska. You will discover the comfort food of happiness. This one food is literally immortal as far as shelf life is concerned, but you have to beware where you're getting it to avoid the fake kind that's been plaguing the market lately. Buy as much as you can at as low as $2.50 per pound, because it'll not only keep you energized for hours on end, but also release those happy chemicals when everyone around you is depressed. Where to store your supplies to increase their shelf life up to 30 years. If you store your food in the wrong place, such as your attic, it will spoil. Sneaky places to hide your stockpile where no one will ever think to look, even if you live in a tiny apartment. The most common mistake people make with meds is storing them in the bathroom. Humidity will compromise their shelf life and screw up your long-term plans. I'll share with you the very best places to keep them. I'll also teach you how to carefully spend every penny so you save at least 40% more than what most uniformed people pay for survival food. You can start with a budget of $10 per person per week and never have to increase that budget for the entire duration of the challenge. Okay, you're gonna love this one. I'm gonna let you in on some unique supplies that will be almost impossible to procure or manufacture post-collapse. These particular items are going to become extinct unless you hoard them today. How to harvest and store an unlimited amount of free, yes, I said free water. Plus, I'll show you how to hook up this secret spring to your pipes right now to cut your water bill in half starting today. I assure you this is something even a 12-year-old can put together. Speaking of which, I'm going to show you the right way to store water, because any prepper's nightmare is to wake up with algae and bacteria inside right when their family's dying of thirst. Hint, if right now you're using milk jugs or juice bottles to store yours, I urge you to throw them all away before anyone gets sick. The best ultra-long-term food preservation techniques that yield the longest shelf life and amazing results regardless of temperature, humidity, and whether or not you have a fridge. You get step-by-step instructions for each. Okay, this one is really important. How to fight the 5 food storage enemies: light, humidity, temperature, oxygen, and pests. There are simple things you can do to keep each of them off your stash. If you don't, you might wake up with algae and bacteria inside your water, moths inside your food, or even with all of it eaten by mice and critters. How to stockpile water. Did you know that severe dehydration leads to dizziness, fever, and delirium? The human body can live up to 3 days without it, but you'll start experiencing these symptoms long before that. I'll show you how and where to store your water the right way. I will show you how to assemble not one, but several first aid kits to have with you at all times, like guardian angels. This will save you at least 50%, and they will have more stuff than any kit available on the market today. How to stockpile seeds. If things aren't going back to normal anytime soon, you're going to need a survival garden, and seeds are your starting point. Best to do this now while you can. I'll let you in on which ones have the longest shelf life, as well as how to store them the right way to maximize it. My secret list of tools and gear to stockpile today for pennies on the dollar. Forget high-tech compasses or fancy survival knives, because when you bug in, you need to store a completely different set of items that have little to do with bushcraft. Once you have 1 month's worth of food, please email me so I can give you a big pat on the back. From there on, it's only a matter of time to scale that to 3, 6, or even 12 months to be truly independent. Last but not least, I'm going to show you how to correctly rotate and maintain your food stockpile so you don't wake up with a spoiled pantry post-collapse. I could go on and on for at least another 10 minutes talking about all the things I'll be teaching you in my amazing challenge course, but you get the idea. Suffice to say that when we're done, you'll be the proud owner of one of the biggest and most nutritious stockpiles any prepper has ever had in your entire town or city. I guarantee you can do it without breaking the bank or changing your lifestyle to revolve around prepping and survival. You can still enjoy your free time, your family, and live a normal life. Now, since I wanted to make you an offer you can't refuse, I'm also including these amazing free bonuses. Bonus number 1 is called Barter for Your Life and helps you get just about anything your little heart desires post-collapse by learning to use your stockpile as currency. You need to be a good negotiator regardless of what happens to the dollar. Your big stockpile is going to put you in an undeniable position of power, and you'll end up getting the sweetest deals every time because of all the extra stuff you'll be able to spare. Bonus number 2, canning authority. It's no secret canning is one of the easiest ways to store healthy, organic food for the long term. This is something even non-preppers do all the time. There's only one problem with it though. If you don't do it right, with some foods you can catch a horrible disease called botulism that will be almost impossible to treat in a post-collapse world without access to doctors, a hospital, and medical gear. Don't worry though. If you follow the canning recipes to the letter, nothing like this should ever happen. The name of bonus number 3 says it all. 26 delicious mouth-watering survival food recipes. They are easy to make, quick, and delicious. They're so good you're going to want to incorporate them into your family's diet today. Bonus number 4 is also the most practical. It's a list of lists of all the tools and gear you can buy. From survival knives and cooking utensils to Mylar bags and buckets, you'll get nothing but the best of the best, so you don't have to spend dozens of hours researching and browsing the internet and asking of forums or friends what to buy. Last but not least, there's bonus number 5, Paleo Kickoff, which I also like to call the survival diet. It is made exclusively of foods that our ancestors ate for hundreds of thousands of years, foods that your body is used to processing, but the really amazing part is that many of them are the exact same ones you need to stockpile. In short, you'll get to lose weight and eat survival food at the same time. You'll look and feel healthy, keep your weight under control, lower your blood pressure, the risk of heart disease and diabetes, increase insulin sensitivity, and most of all, you'll get used to eating survival food. Just give this diet a try, and I promise you'll be amazed at how well and energized you'll feel. Now, if we look back at everything I'm offering you today, it's a pretty sweet deal, and you're probably wondering how much it costs. Let me put it this way. If you were to buy ready-made food kits, you would have to spend at least $2,000 per year per family member to get about 4 months worth of food. This means you'd have to spend around 15 grand to keep a family of 3 fed for a year, and that's just food. If we add water, tools, gear, and medicine to the equation, then that number will almost double. Pricing the amazing stockpile challenge was tricky. On one hand, I want everyone to start a stockpile as soon as possible because there's just no telling how much time we have left. On the other, this is a challenge and a commitment on your part, meaning once you're in, you have to stick to it. Sometimes folks are more motivated to stick to something when they invest a little bit of money into it. I wanted to price it below the $100 mark, so I decided to settle for less than what a 48-hour pre-packaged emergency kit would cost you. Only $39. This is an absolute bargain if we keep in mind my course can help you save at least 10 grand on a 1-year stockpile. So what do you say? Give my system a shot. See how it goes. And if you decide it's not for you, that's fine. You can ask for your money back at any time within the next 60 days, and I'll even let you keep the bonuses as my way of saying thank you for giving my system a fair shot. Either way, you win, and I'm the one who could lose $39 and a valued customer if my ideas don't meet your expectations. I, for one, am up for the challenge. I'm willing to bet you won't find a better course on stockpiling out there, and I challenge you to have a 1-year stockpile of food, water, and gear in record time. The way I see it, if you want to survive the coming catastrophe, you don't really have that many options, and they all involve stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit. Option number 1 is to spend your hard-earned dollars on pre-packed MREs or survival food buckets. I'm not saying that they're bad, but they are expensive because freeze-drying, low-heat dehydration, and other preservation techniques are pricey, and the manufacturer passes those costs on to you. Option number 2 is to try to build the stockpile yourself. Maybe you read some of those useless articles in the top 10 items you need to hoard in a crisis. The only problem is they forget to tell you how to do it, as well as giving you more food choices, particularly if you're looking to prepare for 3 months or more. They also don't give you any tips on where to find the best deals, as well as leave out crucial items that aren't food you'll absolutely need around the house or to barter with. This is why I recommend option number 3. Say a cheerful yes to my challenge and to the only A to Z emergency stockpiling course on the market that ensures you're fully stocked for any disaster. Even if you decide to bail out after a month, you'll still be better prepared than 95% of Americans. 4 million preppers cannot be wrong. Just imagine the overwhelming feeling of confidence when you turn on your pantry or basement light a month from now and see shelf after shelf filled to the brim with food, water, and survival items, enough to last you and your family 6, 8, or even 10 months. Hey, if you don't want to do this, don't worry. It doesn't make a difference to me. It's going to make a difference to your family. They're the ones who are going to look you straight in the eye asking you for food when there isn't any. If you think you can leave everything to the last minute and make a run for the supermarket, you might be shocked and disappointed to see empty shelves and people fighting over the last can of tuna. What's it going to be like to have your family safe and secure inside your home and watch them eat the myriad of goodies you stashed in advance, to know that you'll be able to survive and thrive until the worst is over, no matter how long it takes? Say yes to living like a king post-collapse. Say yes to putting together a long-term emergency stockpile that goes beyond food and water. If you ask me, this course is worth at least 10 times what you paid today. As I already showed you, it will save you thousands. $39 is more than a fair price, especially since it's backed by my 60-day money-back guarantee. If you decide you want your money back, just shoot me an email and I'll promptly refund you every penny. So click the button below, enter your credit card information, and let's start building your survival stockpile today. Okay, if you're still here, you may have a few questions about the product, and I'll be happy to answer them. Question: is the 60-day guarantee real? Yes, absolutely. I'm using ClickBank, the biggest online retailer of digital goods, having an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and my site is ClickBank secured and trusted. Their automated process makes it really easy for you to quickly get your money back if you are unhappy for whatever reason by sending either me or ClickBank an email for a full refund. Remember, you have 2 whole months to start building your stockpile. Question: how quickly can I get my blueprints? Since this is a digital product, you get instant access, meaning as soon as the payment is confirmed, you're literally 2 to 3 minutes away from starting to read. Question: can I get the product in physical format? Not at the moment, no. By making this available in digital format, I can keep the costs low while you get fast, instant access. Question: is my credit card safe? Yes, the transaction is processed by the online retailer, ClickBank, and that's what will show up on your bank statement. ClickBank processes hundreds of thousands of ebook transactions every single month, and they've been doing this for a very long time and handle money with care. Question: I live in a tiny apartment. Can I still do this challenge? Definitely. Even if you can't have a huge stockpile inside your apartment, you'll still be able to stash a lot more than you think. You'll be surprised at all the tiny little places you can hide your preps. Question: can I access the product from my phone or tablet? Sure. After your purchase, you'll be taken to the members area, but you'll also get a direct link via email. This way, you'll be able to access the product anytime you want it by simply logging into your email from your phone, iPad, or your laptop and clicking the link to get to the same members area. Question: Dan, can I make a printed copy of this course? How about several? By all means, feel free to make as many as you want. Question: I've read quite a few survival books and ebooks. Can you give me some more info on your course? Sure thing. I could fill pages upon pages of stuff you're going to find inside the amazing stockpiling challenge, but here are just a few more. How to cleverly split your preps, not just inside your home, but other places such as your survival bags, your car, your bug out location, your tool shed, and even your backyard. How to get the right containers, sometimes for free, to store your food. Careful here, they need to be food grade. How to tell if your food has gone bad and what to do about it to avoid poisoning. Which essential herbs to store to allow you to treat your family when there is no medicine. How to inexpensively dehydrate foods, plus drying times for each. which items I believe will have the most value post-collapse that you can get today for pennies on the dollar, tips on how to safely store fuel, plus a full list of little-known items no one told you you'd need post-collapse, and much, much more. Question: what disaster is most likely to hit us? That's a fantastic question. Well, with the Swiss decoupling themselves from the euro, with tensions between Russia and the US, the EU, and Turkey, I believe a financial disaster is most likely to hit, which will quickly lead to a food crisis. It's not only going to affect just America, but most of the world. Just like some financial analysts were called crazy for predicting the 2007 crisis before it happened, there are people right now crying their lungs out about the food crisis. Question: what makes the amazing stockpiling challenge different? There's only one thing that makes it different. The fact that I worked my off to get you the highest quality information possible. I honestly don't think there's a better course on stockpiling out there. This isn't just a list of food preservation techniques. It's a war plan for a bulletproof stockpile that will make even the most hardcore preppers jealous. Question: is the product full of fluff? Absolutely not. I've had my share of survival courses filled with irrelevant stories, personal opinions, and political rants. There will be none of that in the amazing stockpiling challenge. Question: what if I have questions later on? I'll be right there with you. Simply write me an email at contact@survivalsullivan.com and I'll personally reply within 48 hours, tops. Well, that's about it. I've given you all my arguments, and now I rest my case. It's up to you to make the right decision. I'm just going to say this one last time. Get the course. It's the only way to ensure that when we're all going to be in hot water, you and your family will be safe. Click the button below to get started with the amazing stockpiling challenge, and I'll see you on the other side with a very important announcement. I'm Dan F. Sullivan. Thank you for watching.